Good afternoon, everybody. How are we all doing on this Monday afternoon? I hope you're all doing well. A massive week ahead for football and, of course, the return of the Premier League. Lots to do this week. Lots to obviously put out there in terms of content. And, of course, we're going to be starting things off with some transfer stuff. We're going to get into the predictions later on in the week. We've got my Premier League predictions video coming out tomorrow. We've got the return of Premier League predictions for fixtures for the upcoming game weeks in terms of that this upcoming weekend on Wednesday. Well, there's the potential of a watch along on Friday with Liverpool Bournemouth. I'm not 100% sure if that will go ahead or not, but we shall see if I do get the time or not. Otherwise, we're going to kick things off with some transfer talk today. We're going to talk some transfers or anything else that you guys want to talk about as well. Like I say, with these things, as great as what they are, to kind of have set topics. If you guys have anything to throw in there, hit up that chat. So, as always, with these types of videos and live streams, I hope you're all doing well. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And, of course, get involved in the chat. Would love to hear what you have to think about any of the stories that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking Tottenham's pursuit of Savinho. We may even throw a little bit of Jack Grealish to Everton in there. That is the big news today as well. We're also talking Crystal Palace's rejected appeal for their Europa League, for their Europa League appeal. So we might be talking a little bit of that as well. And like I said, anything else that you guys want to talk about? You want to throw Kostas Tsimikas in there? He's apparently leaving, according to Fabrizio Romano. If you want to talk a little bit about Alexander Isak as well, and Mark Gahey and Eberiche Eze and all of these other players that have huge speculation surrounding them, then feel free to hit up the chat and we will discuss it. This is one of my favorite shows to do because I get to engage with you guys and you guys get to just throw out there whatever the hell you want to talk about, and we will absolutely run with that news. Or you want to talk about the seemingly big news that is emerging is that Manchester City are seemingly looking at Xavi Simons. And obviously, as we know, Xavi Simons was apparently heading to Chelsea. Could City be about to hijack that move? Would be interesting to see. But I hope we're all doing well. Lovely to have a couple of you on board with us already. A fair few of you, actually. Spirit of Liverpool, lovely to see you, my bro. Hope you are doing well. Big up yourself, my bro. Hope you're doing good. Smash the like and subscribe. Yes, people, do exactly what Spirit of Liverpool fans says. Big supporter. Can't thank you enough, my bro. I really do appreciate you being along with us on this Monday afternoon. I hope you're doing good. Big up Balam as well. Lovely to have you on board with us as well, my bro. Lovely to have you here. Yes, it is very warm. Very, very warm this afternoon. I've just dropped my daughter off at nursery. And even just going out there for about 10 minutes or so was very, very warm indeed. Savinho is very unexpected. Absolutely. We will get onto that a little bit later. Crystal Palace fans went through all sorts of emotions last 24 hours with all of this. Yeah, it's bittersweet. I think it's harsh, but I think rules are rules, as we'll get onto a little later. Kostas is leaving Liverpool. Yeah, it was expected, and especially after being left out of the Community Shield squad yesterday, I think it was even more expected. Darwin, leave now. I'll try and be back for later, by the way. You have around 6 viewers and almost 890 subs in the middle of August. I appreciate you being here, bro, even if it is for a short time. You know, you're always welcome here, and it's always lovely to talk with you, bro. I really do appreciate the kind words. So we'll start off with this Tottenham Savinho talk then, shall we? The news emerged last night from Fabrizio Romano, somewhat out of left field, really, that Tottenham were looking to pursue Savinho. This is what he put on his social media platforms. Exclusive. Tottenham open club-to-club talks with Savinho from Manchester City. Negotiations ongoing between Spurs and City. Also understands Savinho's open to the move if the clubs can agree on a fee. That has actually been confirmed, by the way. That is, a lot of other media journalists are running with the idea that Savinho has given the green light on a move to Spurs. Why anyone would, beyond me, but whatever. Tottenham boss Thomas Frank indicated Savinho as ideal player. It's an interesting move, this one, isn't it? It is a very interesting move in terms of a player that Manchester City bought only last year for reportedly half of his actual market value, which was very strange nonetheless. Very strange that it's only been a year later and seemingly City are giving up on this Savinho project. He was a player who came in, a lot of skill, a lot of flair, that Brazilian style that we become accustomed to seeing with a lot of these young Brazilian players. And all of a sudden, City are seemingly giving up on him. Now, maybe they are looking for someone that's tried and tested. Like I say, there is talk out there that there's talk of maybe Xavi Simons coming in at Man City. Not exactly tried and tested, but someone that has got a lot of potential. Maybe they're moving on to someone with potential. Maybe they're looking for someone with a lot more promise. Maybe what they perceive as being a slightly higher ceiling. And there is talk out there that maybe they are about to enter the race for Rodrigo. Now, he is more tried and tested. He is more on that level of established, shall we say, which is big in itself. So that's on the City side of things. But for Tottenham, I think it's a good move. Like, I still think there are question marks over Savinho. And let's face it, he is 23. Yes, he's 20. Well, no, wait, 21. Sorry, 21. My eyesight is getting worse and worse. It is really, really bad. My contact lenses don't work. He's 21. He is 21 years of age. He's still got a lot of room to grow, to evolve, to get better. The issue I had with him last year is that he did a lot without doing a lot, if you know what I mean. Like, he had a lot of energy. He had a lot of not necessarily a lot of creativity, but he had a lot of energy, he had a lot of skill, a lot of trickery without the final product. His final product just was very sketchy and very hit and miss at best. In saying that, he did get 1 goal and 10 assists. 10 assists may not exactly be bad. That's actually a lot more than what I was actually thinking he got, to be fair. But there still seemed to be a lack of end product, goals-wise at least. And you could see that overall with Manchester City. Like, if Haaland wasn't scoring, City weren't scoring. That was the problem with City last season for a number of their games, other than their midfield being absolutely ran through at will. But there was a lot to be desired when it came to City's forward options, that if Haaland wasn't scoring, they weren't scoring from anywhere else. Doku looked good on the eye, but no end product. Savinho, good on the eye, not really an end product in terms of goal scoring. Grealish is Grealish. So Phil Foden had an absolute stinker of a season, considering that the year before he was the player of the year. There's a lot to be desired when it came to that forward line for City. But like I say, he's still 21. He's still got a lot of room. And I think at Tottenham, where, again, it might just be a case of, I mentioned earlier in a video that I did about Jack Grealish, certain players might just enjoy being the bigger fish in the pond. That exactly might be the reason why Savinho might blossom at Spurs, because he's going to be the bigger fish in a small pond. Spurs need some creativity. Spurs need some injection of pace, of skill and flair in that front line. Kudos can't do it all himself. So this is a good move. And plus, when you look at maybe his output previously, Savinho's best work seems to be when he's on that left-hand side. You put Kudos on that right-hand side, you put Savinho on the left, you're probably looking at a very intriguing set of wingers for Spurs. It's going to be a very intriguing signing, I think, if Spurs can get this over the line. All indicators seem to indicate that Spurs are going to get this over the line. It seems that Savinho is happy to join Spurs. It seems that Spurs are really on board with this. It's all about negotiating a fee. Problem is, I think for Spurs is that they've already shown their hand that they have £60 million to spend because of the whole Morgan Gibbs White fiasco. So, of course, City are going to be holding out for a bit more. We shall see how this one goes, but I think this one could be a very good move for City in terms of the money aspect. And then if they move on and they do go after and pursue a Rodrigo, I think that is an upgrade for them. And then looking at where Tottenham are right now, looking at what they have, I think it's a good move to bring Savinho in. And he's going to come in, and of course, he's going to be the replacement for Son Heung-min. And it's going to be someone who's younger, someone that's got a lot more to prove, someone that's got a lot of years ahead of him, going to be a long-term appointment there in that area. And although he may use Tottenham as maybe a stepping stone to maybe move to Spain with, maybe go to like a Barcelona or something, for the next 3 or 4 years, you're probably going to get a Savinho that's going to be driven to, of course, prove to a Barcelona or someone in Spain that he can play there and he does belong there. So I think it's a good move. I think it is also a good move for Thomas Frank. I think Frank is the kind of manager that might get like the best out of him. We see that with like Brian Mbeumo, and that's what I mentioned when Spurs bought Kudos. Those kind of players kind of work really well with Thomas Frank. I think that this could be a very, very good move for Thomas Frank and Tottenham, I think. But would love to know what you guys have to say on Tottenham's pursuit of Savinho. Let's go to some of these comments. Fletcher, don't be too disheartened. It's now when we can make the mistakes in games and don't mean much. Hopefully Friday night it all comes together. Fingers crossed, man. Like I say, it was annoying yesterday. Like I say, you want to win every game. It was annoying yesterday, especially with the nature of the game, us taking the lead twice and not holding on to it. Stupid mistakes that ultimately led to the Crystal Palace goals. But I did see a lot to be encouraged by yesterday. I saw a lot to be encouraged by, and there's still a lot there that we need to do, especially from whether it be on the training ground or in the transfer window. But there's definitely that. So I do agree with you, bro. I do agree with you that there's nothing to be too disheartened by, but there is a lot to be intrigued by. There's a lot to be optimistic about. Player ratings from yesterday: Ali 7, Kirkes 6, Frimpong 7, Van Dijk 4, Konate 6, Szoboszlai 4, Jones 4, Vert 7, Gakpo 4, Salah 3, Ekitike 7, Endo 6, Elliot 4, Robbo 4, Maka 5. Don't think you can really judge Elliot and maybe even Robbo. I don't think they had enough time to really impact the game. I feel like Szoboszlai's rating maybe a little harsh. I thought he was a little bit better than a 4 yesterday, especially with him somewhat getting the assist for Frimpong's goal. And I think Ekitike probably deserved like an 8. I probably would go with an 8. But other than that, I think you're pretty much spot on. And I think maybe Alisson deserves an 8 as well. Made a couple of good stops and good saves, and he at least saved one of the penalties. So I think Alisson probably gets a little bit higher. So does Szoboszlai and maybe Ekitike. But otherwise, yeah, I can somewhat agree with what you've put there. We need 2 centre-backs, a CDM, number 9, and a winger. I think we get a centre-back, a number 9, and a winger. I don't think we get the CDM until next year, which is a shame because I would have loved someone like Carlos Baleba. And it seems like Man United are going to get him. So, yeah, I think that's the approach we're going to make this summer. I don't think we're going to get a CDM. I think we're only going to get one of the 2 centre-backs you're on about. but still could be an intriguing end to the transfer window. We need to offload Tsimikas, Gomez, Reece Williams, Calvin Ramsey, Doak, Elliott, Bajcetic, and Chiesa. Again, easier said than done. Tsimikas, I agree with. Gomez, we may be forced into keeping, depending on how and if we get a centre-back or not. Reece Williams could have the same problem. Calvin Ramsey, I agree with. Ben Doak. I like Ben Doak, but I feel like if a good enough bid came in for him, then I agree with you. Elliott, again, it's about the bid. I would love to keep Elliott, but I think it's about the bid. Bajcetic seems like he's a lost cause, unfortunately. And Chiesa is pretty much the same. Didn't even get any minutes yesterday, so says what it is. Liverpool fixtures: Bournemouth, Newcastle, Arsenal, Burnley, and Everton. I feel like we'll beat Bournemouth. I feel like we'll beat Newcastle, draw to Arsenal, beat Burnley, and we have to beat Everton. So I'm looking for, 3, 6, 9, 13 out of 15. 13 points out of 15. Fingers crossed. Big up to yourself. I hope you're doing well, my bro. I think Savinho would be a perfect signing for Spurs. It was clear he wasn't ready to be a leader at City, but at Tottenham, he'll have more opportunities to become the kind of leader he was at Girona. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, mate. I agree. I would say, again, he's only 21 years of age, so he's still relatively young. I agree. I think at Spurs, he will have a lot more time, patience, and a lot more freedom. I think freedom to maybe cut his skills a little bit more and sharpen his skills. And I think that will really help. Plus, teams don't really sit back against Spurs, which I think could be a really big positive for him. Teams against Man City, 9 times out of 10, they'll sit back. They'll be solid. They'll be compact. They won't allow much space in behind. But teams won't do that to Spurs. And I really do think that could really help him. I really do think that having that space in behind defenses will really help Savinho to stretch his legs, literally and figuratively, and obviously go over the top and be like, yeah, okay, you play that ball over the top, I'm going to leg it and run onto it. So I really do think that a move to Spurs, with all due respect, is probably the right move for everybody involved. I think it is. We're not ready and we don't have enough players or squad depth. We were saying that last year, to be fair. We were saying we're not ready, and look what happened. And I'm not saying it's going to exactly be the same again, because I know other teams have obviously improved and things like that. But yeah, I'm with you on, there are certain areas of the squad that need strengthening. You could see yesterday that when we took off Ekatike, we didn't really have that option up front. So we definitely need to get a signing there. And we also need a signing to keep Konate and Van Dijk on their toes. Van Dijk more than anything. Keep them on their toes. Bush Baptist, my guy. I hope you're doing well, bro. If Pep doesn't want him, maybe he's showing too much flair and talent. We all see what happens when players, not always a bad thing. They've won many trophies, but for Pep to sell after a season, yeah, it is strange after a season. I mean, it's like I mentioned earlier with Jack Grealish. Certain players just enjoy being the bigger fish in a small pond. And Grealish is the same, because one of the questions I had about Jack Grealish when he moved from Aston Villa to Man City was, it's a good move for Grealish, but is he going to adapt to City? Because he's given the freedom at Aston Villa to go and do whatever he wants. He's given that freedom to basically act like a kid in a playground. He can go and just wherever he wants to get the ball, and he trusts in the ability that he has to go and do something magical with it. At City, he was somewhat, I think, restricted. I think he was a bit hamstrung. I think he was a bit shackled at City because Pep likes to play a certain way. I'm sure Pep at some point probably did say to him, like, you can go and take on a player. You can go and dribble past a couple of players here and there. You can show a bit of skill. But for whatever reason, Grealish didn't maybe have the confidence to do it at City than he did probably at an Aston Villa. And I think maybe it was a case of maybe he's looking around at other players like a De Bruyne, like a Haaland, like a Foden, and going, well, I'll leave that kind of side to them and I'll just do the simple things and not to step on anybody's toes or anything. Maybe he was feeling that. And maybe Savinho was maybe doing the same thing. Maybe Savinho didn't think like he could express himself as much as probably what he has done at previous clubs. As far as what the City side of things go, I don't know if they've just decided that maybe it's worth cashing in on him because he's not maybe going to be as good as what they thought. Or maybe City's approach is somewhat different. Maybe they've decided to ditch the whole, let's build a team with a few more youngsters. And maybe they've gone, let's go for a little bit more tried and tested. So, Aït-Nouri, tried and tested in the Premier League proven. Tierney Reinders, I know he's about 25, isn't he? So he's still relatively young, but he's at least tried and tested in Serie A, and he's done very, very well in Serie A. And Ryan Cherki, again, proved in the French League and in the Europa League that the guy has got something special. And then if they go and get a Rodrigo, which again, according to reports, is very possible, tried and tested, established. So maybe City are looking for a bit more of a tried and tested, more established approach in this scenario. But I do agree with you. It is interesting that after 1 year, City have decided to abandon this sort of project, if you like. And let's face it, they're reportedly wanting 70 million euros. If they do get 70 million euros, big profit. Big profit. Big up, Marco. I hope you're doing well, bro. Lovely to have you along with us for this Monday afternoon. I hope you're doing good. His predictions are first Chelsea, second Arsenal, third Liverpool, fourth City, fifth Villa. Very bold, very bold. Like I said, I won't be revealing my predictions until tomorrow. But guys, what do you think? Do you agree with Marco here? Do you think Chelsea could be about to stun everyone and actually win the league? I would want it just because, once again, Arsenal finished second. And also, it would be funny for Chelsea to win it before Arsenal do. But obviously, I don't want Chelsea to win it because I want Liverpool to. But that would be funny in that aspect. But like I say, we shall see what my predictions are tomorrow. Spurs need a good CDM and creativity and striker. Otherwise, they will end around the same place as last year. Well, they've got the CDM in João Palhinha. I think João Palhinha is a very good signing for them and very risk-free considering he's a loan deal. But I do agree with you. Creativity is certainly something they lack, and they can't just rely on Mohamed Kudus, and especially with the injury to James Maddison as well, that means they are certainly lacking in that area. Gibbs White would have provided some of that had obviously they not broke the rules for him. But yes, I agree. They need some good creativity. I think Savinho is a good step in the right direction, but I think they do need more. So I do agree with you. Big up Luca Talks Dons. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Go and subscribe to Luca Talks Dons. He is talking a lot about MK Dons right now, but he is an Arsenal fan, so he still does a little bit of Arsenal content here and there. But if you want to broaden your footballing horizons, if you are a big fan of MK Dons or League Two in general, or maybe even a bit of Arsenal, bit of Premier League, whatever it may be, there's something for everybody over on Luca Talks Dons. So go over there, find something that you like, and subscribe and support my brother over there. I'm good, bro. Hope you are too. Lovely to have you along with us today. Can't believe Grealish going Everton and City getting Rodrigo. It's big for City getting Rodrigo, if that is to be the case. Again, that saga continues to rumble on. And for, like I say, I was convinced. I was very much convinced that Grealish was going to be going Tottenham. I was very much convinced that Grealish, in some way, shape, or form, would have been going to Tottenham, and he's actually gone to Everton, which I think is a big move for Everton. Like I said, I think David Moyes, if he just gives him the freedom to just do whatever he wants and to just go out there and be Jack Grealish, I think it could be a very big signing for Everton. I think it could be a very underrated piece of business for Everton. And I hate saying that because it's Everton, but there you have it. It makes you think that City don't need skillful players and they need subservient players that won't say no and won't break the tactic for the game, which, as we've seen, has won them many trophies. The problem with City last season was that everything is funneled to Erling Haaland. Everything is funneled to Erling Haaland. And yes, it's not going to be as easy as just saying mark Haaland out the game, because every now and again someone else turned up, and obviously it's very difficult to keep Erling Haaland quiet for 90 minutes every single game. But if that is the case, which it turned out to be a lot last season, it is easier to stop than when you've got multiple different players in different areas that are capable, consistent, and efficient enough in breaking down your defense and scoring loads of goals. Last season, Haaland did get a very respectable amount of goals. There's no doubt about it. But when they went on that run of, 2 wins in 13, 14 games, City were very predictable. City were very easy to not only neutralize in the attacking third, but also to break down very easily, running through midfield and running beyond their defense. They were very, very easy to play through. And that was City's big weakness of last season. And I think when you look at it in that way, I think they've recruited very well in terms of, I think Reinders is a good buy. I think he's going to be a very good piece of business. Shirky, obviously adding some creativity in other areas. Aitonori, proper left back. If they can get Livramento over the line, I think that will be a very good purchase as well. I think they've took steps to sort of rebuild a lot at City. And you're right, they're not exactly the most skillful. But they are efficient. So I get that efficiency is probably what they're looking for more efficient, more established players. I just think you still need that little bit of unpredictability. I still think you need that sort of X factor in certain teams that if things aren't exactly going well, you throw on a bit of a wild card and you just try and test the opposition in that aspect. And I think Savinho could, and Grealish, to be fair, could have provided that had they just been given the free rein to do whatever they want. But yeah, I do think it's become a bit more predictable when it comes to Manchester City, which not necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes in football you can easily see something coming from a mile away, but it's about stopping it. Arjen Robben made an absolute career out of it. You knew what he was going to do every time he got the ball on the right wing, but stopping it was going to be another problem. It was very unlikely you were going to stop him from cutting in on that left foot and just bending one in the far corner. But yeah, I agree. I think it is a bit more of a predictable game for City, but they need to find a way to make sure that Haaland is being effective even when he's not on the score sheet, because it does seem to me like a lot of City's games and a lot of City's performances are basically funnel it to Haaland, funnel it to Haaland, funnel it to Haaland. And if he's not performing very well, and if the ball's not sticking to him, and if he's not getting the service, then Haaland is basically masking poor performances with a goal or an assist. And no one else around them is really chipping in. No one else is getting goals. No one else is dragging the team over the finish line. When City won leagues and won trebles and things of that nature, everybody was chipping in. So when they won the treble, Haaland obviously was the main guy scoring goals. But if Haaland wasn't scoring goals, they had Phil Foden. They had Ilkay Gundogan. They had, was Riyad Mahrez there at the time? Either way, Riyad Mahrez did it for a good couple of years at least. So they had these players that were chipping in. Last season, they didn't really have that. I think their second or third top goal scorer was actually Josko Gvardiol. I think that's how That's how, or at least it was for a period of time throughout the season. That's how awkward City were last season. That their makeshift left back was one of their top goal scorers. So I agree with you. Predictability, unpredictability. I think you need a bit of a balance, in all honesty. Are Liverpool ready for the season? Big up, AR. Hope you're doing well, my bro. Lovely to have you on board with us today. I would say we are not fully prepared, but then again, I don't think anybody else is fully prepared for this. I don't look at Arsenal and see that they are fully prepared either. I don't look at City and say that they're fully prepared. I even look at Chelsea a little bit and I go, I know they're punching up this season, but I don't necessarily think they are ready to win the league. So I'm thinking that nobody's really 100% ready for the league, but I still think Liverpool are in a good position. And yesterday's game, I'm just going to say it that it was a bad day at the office for Salah and Van Dijk. Bad day at the office for them, but there were positive signs in terms of Wirtz looked lively, Ekatike looked lively. Kirkes was solid. Frimpong was solid. We just need to work on stopping the transition from other teams. If we lose the ball, we've got to be better in terms of our defending. And I think yesterday you saw that not having a fully fit McAllister and obviously Ryan Gravenberch not being there probably did hinder our midfield a little bit, which was a key area that I identified before the game as being a big talking point and possibly a big area of the pitch and the game that we need to focus on. So I'm not pinning it on like one or two players, but I think that was a big area. And obviously, Van Dijk had a shocker of a game. Salah had a shocker of a game. But there are moments where we can look at and go, there is room for improvement, but it's looking positive. It's looking very positive to say that we've implemented 4, 5, 6 new players into the overall squad, not necessarily the starting 11, but the overall squad. So I don't think anybody's really ready, but I would say that Liverpool are more than capable of at least tackling the first 2 to 3 games of the season whilst we get other deals over the line. If we don't sign anyone between now and the beginning of September, where the window closes, I'll be very surprised. I'll be very, very surprised. Don't think that will happen. I think we will at least make 2 or 3 signings at least. Maddison injury was a strange one. To be fair, you don't see it often. For someone to be, I lost train of thought. So, for someone to be that severely injured from no contact injury, and there was no one around him when it happened. But yeah, I didn't see. I didn't see what happened with the injury. All I know is that I didn't watch the game. All I know is that the injury occurred and he's going to be out now, ACL, for about 6 to 7 months. Yeah, I didn't see the injury. It's just a bad one. I hope for a speedy recovery for him. I hope everything does go well with, obviously, the recovery aspect of it all, and we get him back on the pitch ASAP. You never like to see an injury happen to anyone, regardless of who they are and who they play for. But these are the things that we have to deal with, and Spurs need to deal with it. And for a club that hit the sort of 1-2 knockout punch in terms of kudos, Gibbs White, and obviously I know one of them didn't materialize because the Forest board kicked off. They didn't do anything afterwards, and I was surprised that they didn't, because it's clear they had the money. It's clear that they were bragging about this spending spree that they were going to go on because they had this big Saudi investment. but they didn't do anything with it since. They haven't done anything with it. And then they get João Palhinha on loan, which I think is a smart move. But they needed to do more. And whilst, Arsenal are buying players and Liverpool are buying players, that's fine when they're above you. But when you're looking at teams around you buying players, Manchester United have gone on a madness this summer. Still a madness. And yet, you're probably Spurs and you're looking around going, well, how come they can do it? And we've got Champions League. We've got this so-called investment from Saudi. What the hell are we doing? We clearly need players. We clearly need to reinforce our forward line. We clearly need maybe a fullback or two. Clearly need to reinforce our defense and attack at the same time. Like, what are we doing? So it's interesting from a Spurs perspective. I think Liverpool are ready for the season. Yes, nothing wrong with this squad. Like Fletch said before, everyone thought we had a poor squad last season and our signings have only made us stronger. I agree. I think for some of them, it may take a little bit of time to bed in properly. But at the same time, like I say, there was enough yesterday for me to suggest that the new players we've got are all looking good. Hopefully we get a couple more in just to reinforce things a little bit more. But yeah, I'm looking around at everybody else and I'm thinking Arsenal lack creativity. Do they have enough depth? I'm not 100% sure. I'm looking around at City. Do they have enough depth? Is Rodri's injury going to be a problem? Again, I'm looking at Chelsea and I'm thinking the goalkeeper still doesn't strike me with a lot of confidence. The back line, for as many defenders as they have, are they going to be strong enough as the season progresses? Are they going to be that team to really, really, really challenge next season? I'm still debating. That's the only spoiler I'll give. I'm still debating certain things, especially around the top four for next season. It's the only slight spoiler I'm giving for tomorrow's video. When McAllister is back to full fitness, Gravenberch is playing and Van Dijk isn't up to full pace yet. When they are ready, there won't be many leaks as we saw yesterday. I agree. I think Gravenberch was very much missed yesterday. I don't, as much as you can play Curtis Jones and Szoboszlai together. I think that might be, if you were forced to play them at certain stages throughout the season, I'd probably do it against like a Burnley or something, someone that you know for definite you can outscore. I think majority of teams Liverpool can outscore, but against Palace yesterday, it was just a little frustrating that about 2 or 3 passes into a Crystal Palace move, and they were having the freedom of the majority of Wembley to just run in behind our defence. Mateta did it a couple of times, and in the build-up to the Mateta penalty, he breaks free. He breaks free through the centre. Munoz several times yesterday, ball got played down the right-hand side, and he was just away. He was just away down that right-hand side. It is a little concerning. It is a little concerning, but maybe it was just maybe it was just we need to get up to speed, up to scratch a little bit more. Maybe it was that. Maybe there are still some things that need to be ironed out when teams hit the transition on us. So I'm not overly concerned. I'm not overly worried, should we say? But I am a little concerned. A little concerned that there are certain things that obviously need to be looked at. So after Crystal Palace not winning one prize in 127 years, they win 2 in 5 months. It's like London buses. It's like London buses, bro. London buses. You wait for one, and 2 come along at once. Like buses. Speaking of Crystal Palace, though, it's a nice segue into the next little bit that we're going to be talking about. Let's get rid of this. Palace have been kicked out of the Europa League. Palace are officially now going to be participating in the Europa Conference League. Palace's appeal to UEFA has been rejected. Their ownership rulings or whatever it is has ruled that Palace cannot perform in the same competition as Lyon. And because of that, Palace will now be relegated down to the Europa Conference League for next season. And taking their place will officially be Nottingham Forest. How are we all feeling on this story? How are we all feeling on this Crystal Palace story? I, for one, look at it in two ways. I think it's extremely harsh on Palace. I think with them winning a trophy, I feel like it's extremely harsh on them to really condone them. And it's not the fans' fault either. I feel really sorry for the fans. It would have been an amazing journey. It's still going to be an amazing journey anyway, being in the Europa Conference League, I'm sure. But it would have been even better had it been in a, with all due respect, slightly more high-profile competition in the Europa League. But I feel sorry for the fans. They hit the highs of winning an FA Cup. They're going to be in the Europa League only to find out that your club messed up or there was some sort of admin error or whatever it was that occurred that meant that Palace have therefore been relegated. Part of me is very sorry for the fans. Part of me is sorry for the club. Part of me thinks it's a bit unfair. But there's a big part of me that is basically on the side of rules are rules. And as harsh and as unfortunate as what it may be, I'm not really going to sit here and be like, oh, I know they messed up, but come on, let them in. It's not going to be that big of a deal. And it wouldn't be that big of a deal, I don't think, if they were to be allowed into the competition. But ultimately, rules have to be followed because we can't make up one rule for one rule for another. And you just know that in football, someone else is going to do the same thing later on down the line. And if they get let in, but Palace don't, then we have a case to argue. And then if obviously they don't get let in and Palace don't get let in, at least therefore they're showing consistency and that kind of thing. So there's a lot there to obviously unpack in it itself. But ultimately, I'm on the impression that rules are rules. And, if they have broken them and obviously if they can't qualify for the same competition as the other club that is in this conversation, then the right procedure was followed, the right thing was followed, and at least now maybe Crystal Palace have some sort of clarity on why UEFA have made the ruling that they have. Having said that, I think this could be a blessing in disguise for Crystal Palace. I really, really do. I think they may have had a good chance of maybe winning the Europa League anyway. But I think that a lesser competition will only strengthen their case. I think that they will have a decent year in the Europa Conference League. It's something that they should maybe take seriously going forward. And Oliver Glasner has previous in European competitions. So I think Palace may be in for a good year. And there could be a possibility that, Marco talks about 2 trophies in a matter of 5 months over a 127-year history. We could be potentially looking at Crystal Palace winning 3 trophies in 2 years. I think it is very plausible that Crystal Palace could go on and win the Europa Conference League next season. I really, really do. If last year's Man United and Tottenham can get to the final of the Europa League, then anything can happen. I think this could be a blessing in disguise for Palace. And, they get into the Europa League next year instead. They get a trophy. They get to visit some really weird places in Europe. Or some unique and different ones, should I say, with all due respect. But it really could benefit Palace in the long run. They get a good European tour out of it. They have the possibility and the potential to go far in that tournament. as long as they don't let it affect their league performance too much to the point where there could be the threat of relegation, because we have seen time and time again that teams that break into Europe don't quite handle the balance well of Europa Conference and Premier League. I think they could be in for a good season. If they manage to keep Gahey and Eze for at least one more year, that's going to be another big bonus for them as well. Whether they do or not remains to be seen, of course. But if they manage to keep their big and best players, and they manage to obviously have a good display in Europe, which they have the manager to do so, they have a good enough squad to do so, as proven by the way that they've won the FA Cup and they beat Liverpool yesterday, albeit on penalties, but they still made a very good game of it. They can go toe-to-toe with them. They can go toe-to-toe with a lot of teams, and they can really give a lot of teams some food for thought. I'm under the impression that Palace could be in for a good season in terms of success, in terms of maybe a trophy next year. But I can understand the frustration that it's not something a little more. And by the way, as much as I understand that, again, rules are rules, as much as I understand that procedures and things like that need to be followed, the way that Nottingham Forest kind of acted in this situation, I'm not all for that. Forest don't need to be the whistleblower in this conversation. They didn't need to do anything. If Palace had legit broken the rules, then UEFA should be doing their jobs. If Forest are the ones that brought this to light, then yes, Palace did break the rules, but you don't need to be the ones that are being the snitches in this conversation and being the grassers and being like, Mr. UEFA, Crystal Palace, and they own two clubs and they do this and they do that. I don't think the way that Forest have conducted themselves in this scenario has been great. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. And it's very strange how Forest, in the space of 1 year, have managed to turn everybody from having a bit of soft spot and liking them and liking their progression to all of a sudden being villains and no one really liking them. Tottenham don't like them because of the whole Gibbs-White situation. Crystal Palace now dislike them. Arne Slot dislikes them because they were the first team that beat Liverpool last season. There's a lot there of rivalry for Forest to contend with, and I think Forest fans best hope that they actually continue their progression, because otherwise it's probably going to be a long way down for them. But yeah, I don't like the way that Forest have conducted themselves in this. I understand that rules are rules and things like that, but at the same time, there was absolutely no need for them to be the grassers. If UEFA were doing their job properly, they wouldn't have needed them. They wouldn't have needed them to point out the flaws in the rule breaking, if you like, of this situation. So yeah, that's all I'll say on Forest, to be honest. Is it because Palace are guilty, or is it because the owners of Forest made more noise? Well, I mean, we discussed that. Again, if you'd like to think that UEFA were investigating this anyway. You would like to think that it is because Palace are guilty. Regardless of what Forest did in this situation, you'd like to think that this is a thorough investigation that has been conducted with the utmost respect, impartiality, and thoroughness to get to the right decision. That's what you'd like to think. And to be fair, I don't think there's any real evidence to suggest that it's just because Forest made this huge uproar about it. But it is a little strange that Forest chimed in and decided to be the sort of grassers in this situation and grass on Palace in this situation. Because like I said, if UEFA were doing their job, they should already be investigating this. Forest didn't need to chime in. They didn't need to implement themselves in this situation. Because, yes, they were going to be the ones that were going to benefit the most. And personally, I don't know why they would benefit the most from this. I don't think they should benefit the most from this. I think, if anything, maybe we should have 2 teams in the Europa Conference League. Either that, or maybe there should be some sort of playoff between Crystal Palace and Lyon. I don't know. Maybe there should be some sort of playoff between them two. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But yeah, Forest's input in this was very strange and probably not needed. And I would like to think it was not needed, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. Has Crystal Palace sorted this issue now where this is going to happen again? They changed ownership and now they have a good for the future, right? I think so. I think from what I understand, it was some sort of admin error. It was some sort of technicality that they got found out on. I think they're good. And not only that as well, but from what I can understand, from what I've only briefly heard, I've not followed the conversation completely down to the wire, but I think the ownership ruling, the date of the ownership ruling was changed this year. I think normally they had it later on in the year where you could obviously do the whole thing where you change your ownership to, which is why, of course, Forest, when they were being talked about as potentially being in the Champions League, with obviously Marinakis owning Olympiacos as well, that's why he froze his assets in Forest to, of course, be like, yeah, we're not on the same board, which is very weird to do anyway, because he's got some sort of power in both clubs. But he did it with Forest to obviously help them potentially get into the Champions League for next season. So Forest aren't exactly holier than thou in this. Forest being the whistleblowers aren't exactly holier than thou, because they would have had similar sort of issues with Olympiacos. Not that they would have got that far, because I think they hit the deadline. But they're not holier than thou. And plus, the only reason why they've got here in the first place, or a potentially big reason why they got here in the first place, was because they broke FFP. They broke FFP and PSR. So they're not exactly whiter than white, holier than thou, saint-like. They've done some pretty shady stuff too, as I'm sure every other football club has. But the irony of them singing and dancing about it is just very strange to me. But yeah, I think they've sorted it now. I don't think they'll be making the same mistake again, just in case. But they've probably, the UEFA have probably got an enemy for a long time now. Europa League is a lot more fun for away day fans. You're looking at going to Frankfurt and Sevilla in Europa League, to now Moldova and Kosovo in the conference, with teams even the most diehard fans have never heard of. That can make it more fun, though. That can make it more fun in of itself. Like, yeah, you probably go to a lot more familiar places and locations when you're in Europa League in comparison to Europa Conference League, but that's not to say that any of these smaller nations, with all due respect, haven't got anything to offer. They can provide some decent away days, I'm sure. If rules are rules, then they should have been charged from day one. No questions asked. For it to take this long, a week before the season starts, seems to show there is a lot of confusion. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I don't know why it lasted this long. I know that obviously Palace probably had a lot of appeals and a lot of questions to ask and stuff. But then again, are we seriously asking UEFA to run an investigation with as clear a crystal a justification as any? Look at what they did with the Manchester City situation. Look at what they did. I know it's a completely different kettle of fish, and I know it's a completely different scenario, but the overall investigation was not handled to the best of its ability. I think we can all agree that that was handled poorly. So we're asking this major governing body to run an investigation with clear crystal intent, with impartial, straight down the line intent of finding the facts, extracting the facts, and using them to come up with a verdict on this decision. And they couldn't even do it properly with Manchester City. They couldn't do it with Man City, so they probably weren't going to do it properly with this case either. So as much as I've got no reason to somewhat deny their ruling here, at the same time, I have to go with what they are saying. And again, I agree with the timing. The timing could not be more weird and awkward. Timing could not be made more weird or awkward, I agree. Probably incompetence from UEFA, really, more than anything. Absolutely. Like I say, just look back at the Man City case. The Man City case for UEFA was incompetent, to say the least. And I think this one is another example of it. They may have got to the right decision. They may have done. But Jesus Christ, it took a long time to get there. And it's something that, again, they should have been investigating before Nottingham Forest decided to chime in with the whistleblowing. Aviona Marinakis already won Conference League with his other club, Olympiacos, where he is the majority owner at 2. Yeah, true. He's just a crazy owner. He's just a crazy owner. I mean, if you saw the Gibbs White interview, I mean, how many interviews with players that have signed new deals have the owner standing right there looking like he could at any moment like hold up like a walkie-talkie or a phone or something for some sort of sniper to take a shot at Gibbs White? That's what it looked like. It looked like you say one word and that sniper that's on that roof over there is going to... like, that is genuinely what it looked like. He's weird. He's crazy. He's so strange. Forest gave you away for no choice, threw the rule back at them. There's a very... I just don't think Forest's input was needed. I know they had the most to gain from this. But I just don't think their input was needed. I really don't. Just remember, are you not from Nottingham? Why are you having a go at Forest? Just being fair. I have a soft spot for Forest. Like, I am from Nottingham. I was born and raised here. I've got a lot of friends and family that are Forest fans. I agree, but I'm also being fair. I mean, if this was Liverpool, if this was my proper football club, like, I'd still be saying the same thing because the whole aim of this channel and of this and of me is to try and be as fair and objective as possible. Try and be as neutral as I can. Yeah, there may be a little bit of bias here and there that is unconscious because, you know, that's who we are as football fans at the end of the day. And, you know, there may be the odd comment or two which is used for banter, if you like. But at the same time, like, I don't care where I'm from. I don't care who I support. I'm going to be honest and as neutral as I can. Like, I don't want Man United to rise from the ashes like a phoenix because, you know, they've been dead for about 10 years. But at the same time, if they make good signings like they have done with Mateus Cunha and Brian Mbeumo, I'm going to call it out and say they are very good signings. I don't like it, but I'm going to be fair about it. In the same way that just because I'm from Nottingham doesn't mean that I'm going to have a go or not have a go at Nottingham Forest for, in my opinion, whistleblowing and getting involved in stuff that probably they didn't need to get involved in all honesty. So I'm just saying, I'm trying to be as fair as I can here, bro. Chelsea finished 10th in 2016 and won the league the next season. They are known to bounce back fast. If you look at the Chelsea PSG match, it's not far-fetched to see them going all the way. They're looking good. They are looking very, very good. I know obviously 2016 was a different era for Chelsea and obviously a different time, different ownership. But yes, they are looking very, very good. And I'll be speaking more on Chelsea in my predictions video tomorrow. I must admit, if a person I knew did something wrong and instead of saying sorry, they gave me an envelope full of dollars, then maybe I would accept the apology, even if they did it 115 times. We shall see what happens with the 115 charges. I'm surprised nothing has happened. We were meant to hear something in March. Apparently, it could be as late as October. I don't know why they keep delaying it. I don't understand what the whole deal is with that. It's going to be very interesting to find all of that out later on. But yeah, it's mad. It's mad. It's just crazy. It is just crazy, that whole scenario. It's crazy. The entirety of it, the entirety of them stories is just bizarre, man. So bizarre. Weird. But yeah, in conclusion, the bottom line, the bottom line with Crystal Palace is that they are out of the Europa League. That is official. Their appeal got rejected. There is no sign of them getting back into it. But as I previously stated, I think that could be a blessing in disguise for Crystal Palace going forward. I really, really do. I really think that is going to be a blessing in disguise. And that they might have a good chance of actually winning the Europa Conference League next season. And that would be big in itself for Palace, obviously. A European competition, a European win. And it would mean more. It would mean so much more for Palace to win it than, of course, a Chelsea last year. No one cared about the Europa Conference League last year because everybody was expecting Chelsea to win it and they met expectations. No one cares. The year before, though, or was it the year? Oh, no, it wasn't the year before, but the year before that. When West Ham won it, that was big. That was much bigger because you expect Chelsea to win it because of the amount of money that they spent. West Ham went and won it, and it's like, that was big because that was David Moyes, that was West Ham, that was a big moment for West Ham. It was a bigger moment than seeing Chelsea win it, with all due respect. If Palace were to go on and win it next year, that would be huge. And if they did it at the expense of Nottingham Forest, who could crumble in the Europa League, that would just be the icing on the cake for them. That would be funny. That would be, because I think Forest's best opportunity, again, if last year's Tottenham and Man United can get to the final, then anybody can get to the final at the very least, right? But I think Forest, again, may have a better opportunity at winning the Conference League than the Europa League, and yet they decided, no, we need to capitalize on this. We need to overthrow this. We need to get above and beyond. We shall see. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of rivalries that are developing because of stuff like this and because of transfers and things. I got Sunderland ending above Man United. As much as I want that to happen, bro, I can't see it happening. I'm having some of that as well. You guys. Again, I want it to happen so much. I want it to. Almost at the end now. And our Premier League prediction YouTube video is ready made. Will you wear your Borussia Dortmund shirt? I haven't decided yet. We shall see. We shall see. But yeah, the video will come out tomorrow. I'll basically do what I usually do. I'll go through each of the 20 teams and just go. The finishing 20th will be this team because of this, 19th this team because of this, 18th this team because of this. Yeah, we'll just be going through the 20 teams. And of course, things may change because there's still the transfer window. I don't know. Should I maybe change my opinions depending on the transfer window? Like, for example, let's say Liverpool don't sign Isak and he decides and Newcastle keep him, and maybe I move Newcastle slightly higher up the table than what I would normally do. I don't know. Sure, or should I just stick to my guns a little bit? Should I just be like, no, this is happening. I don't care what happens in the January window or this window or that window. I don't know. Here we go. Let's say Burnley will be bottom. I think a lot of people probably would say that. Me, you'll have to find out tomorrow. Try not to have any bad takes. Yeah, that's difficult from me. That is difficult from me. I predicted Chelsea to finish 10th, I believe, last year. Yeah, bad take. Bad take. I predicted them to finish 10th. I predicted Forest to finish 17th, I believe. And I think I predicted United to finish 4th or 5th. I had a shocker last year. I had an absolute shocker last year. The only one I was happy to get wrong was, of course, Liverpool finishing 3rd. That was the one I was like, so happy to get that one wrong. So happy to get that one wrong. Oh, I mean, to be fair, I was happy to get the United one wrong as well. Them finishing 17th was proper mint. Well, 15th, really. Tottenham finished 17th. Mind you, I was too nice and say that Southampton would be 17th last season. Oh, bless. You always want to give at least one of the new Premier League sides hope. You always want to give at least one of them a hope of staying up, but it doesn't normally work out that way, especially from the past couple of seasons at least. By the way, do we all think the newly promoted sides are going down, or do we think at least one will stay up this season? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling about that. If you go say predictions, you're bound to be wrong. They're always upsets. Agree. And you know what? You know the worst thing for this? Fantasy football. Fantasy football is the worst for this because you'll get like, oh, Manchester City are playing Burnley this weekend. I'm going to triple captain Haaland because he should score about 6 goals against Burnley. And then what happens is he gets injured within the first 5 minutes, or he just doesn't score and everybody else around him scores. Like, how is that? How does that make sense? And then the worst part is you'll get, oh, Liverpool are playing Sunderland. You'll get Man City are playing Burnley. And then you'll get someone like, oh, Bournemouth are playing Aston Villa. And then someone will triple captain a Bournemouth defender who will not only go on to get a clean sheet, but he probably score a hat-trick as well. And then it will get plastered all over social media of like, this guy's a genius. This guy triple captained the Bournemouth defender. And you're sat there and you're going, what kind of time machine crystal ball has this guy got? What kind of Nostradamus powers has this guy got that he saw into the future and went, yeah, I'm going to triple captain the Bournemouth defender who's going to get a clean sheet, who's going to get 3 goals, 2 assists in the game, over a Mo Salah, over an Erling Haaland, who have got both Sunderland and Burnley this week. It makes no sense. But I love fantasy football and I hate it at the same time. Brighton and Hove Albion will be top 10 somewhere. I think they could be dark horses this year. Not for winning the Premier League or anything, but in terms of maybe breaking into Europe and things like that, I think Brighton could be certainly one to look out for this year, even if they don't keep Carlos Baleba. Mainly because you just know that Brighton have got about 6 different players already as replacement for Baleba, and they'll go to the next one, and then everyone else will move up, and then they'll get rid of him for like 150 million in about a year's time, and then they'll go to the next one, and there are all these gems that no one's heard of, but their scouting is just insane. They're very, very good. They're very, very good. Gyökeres will cook at Old Trafford this weekend. Gyökeres versus Sesko. Gyökeres versus Sesko. Stick around for my predictions on the weekend's games as well. That will be coming out Wednesday. We're going to kick that off again. Like I said, I'm going to do a scoring system this year. I think I mentioned it on the watch along yesterday. I'm going to do a scoring system for Premier League predictions this year. So if I get the scoreline right, that's 3 points. If I get the result right, but not the scoreline, so let's say that I go for Liverpool to win 2-0 against Bournemouth this Friday, but we actually win 1-0, I get 1 point. And if I obviously get it completely wrong, that's no points. So I'm going to do a scoring system this year. We'll see how that goes. Chances are I'll probably do it for like 2 weeks and then completely forget about it. I think Leeds are better suited to stay up. Why? They will sack their manager somewhere in the season. Daniel Farke, isn't it? Daniel Farke. I tell who will be top my predictions safely and securely and finish top, and that's the team that plays with a liver bird on their chest. Have faith. It's only going to get better with this squad. I agree. I 100% agree that it will get better. Are they top of my predictions? Find out tomorrow. Will Sesko play? I don't see a reason why he shouldn't. Or maybe he'll come off the bench. I don't know. Either way, it'd be funny if he actually did score against Arsenal and won Man United the game. I don't want Man United to win any game, really. But if they took points off of our rivals early on in the season, that would be both A, great, and B, funny. So we'll go with an equaliser. We'll go with a Benjamin Sesko equaliser to make it 1-1. How about that? End of the stream now. Depends on you guys. Depends on you guys. If you guys have got more to talk about, or if there's anything that's broken whilst we've been live. I don't know. It's entirely up to you guys. Take care. Talk soon, and on to tomorrow's video. Yeah, man. Really appreciate you being here, bro. Really lovely to have you with us on this Monday afternoon. Take care of yourself. You have a good day, good night, whenever this is. Day still. I'm losing track of time. But yeah, hope you're doing good. Will tomorrow's video be out 2 p.m. or tomorrow evening? If nothing really breaks tomorrow, then probably around about 2 o'clock-ish, 2 to 3 o'clock. If something does break tomorrow, I might go live and then it might be put out in the evening. So it will really depend on if anything does break tomorrow. Really will depend on if anything does break tomorrow. Shall we talk? All right. We'll end on this point. We'll end on this point unless anything has broken. Another interest of a striker from Newcastle. Let me just see if I can bring these up. I don't know whether to save this like a. I don't know whether to save this for a video or not. I was basically just going to go completely in on Luke Edwards. I was basically going to go on Luke Edwards, this writer for the Daily Telegraph, who is basically he's basically been all over this Alexander Isak saga with news that is both contradictory and mad at the same time, and also just news that is completely different to what everybody else has been talking about. I don't know. I might save it for a video. On that one, but we can talk about Isak if you want. Southampton finally win a match. Wrexham lost at the weekend. Yeah, I don't have much to add. Wrexham have hype. I watched the Southampton-Wrexham game. Good luck to Will Still. Obviously, he did very well in France. And he's just living his best life, isn't he? Football manager guy. I'm hoping that obviously Football Manager does actually come out this year, because I'm getting pretty bored of FM24. So big up Football Manager and big up Will Still. Good luck to him. Wrexham, I think people are a bit bored of this fairy tale of Wrexham right now. I think people are just a bit bored of it. People are not buying into it as much as what they were when obviously it was new and, you know, it first came in. And I think their success has obviously rubbed people the wrong way, which is not on them. It's just how people view things, that as soon as you start getting a bit of success, people will find every little bit to kind of knock you down with. But yeah, if Wrexham were to come up this season, back to back promotions or whatever it is, yeah, that would only rub people up the wrong way even more. It would annoy people even more. Might be a bit funny, but ultimately, it'll be interesting to see Wrexham this year. Newcastle finally signed a player, AC Milan player. Yeah, it's the I forgot his name, but it's the defender, isn't it? That's not a striker. Come on, Newcastle, sort it out. It's not a striker, is it? Not a striker, Newcastle. Come on, sort it out. You're going to lose your big name striker. Get a striker, unless you bought him to play striker. Did you buy the defender to play striker? Is that what you did? Is it? I'm sick of talking about Isak. I'm sick of this, going back and forth, not having anything really to talk about other than Newcastle journalists are really weird and everybody's saying the same thing for weeks and nothing's really happening. Buy a striker already! Buy a striker! I don't know why I went weird there. Just did. I will write my predictions in the comments tomorrow when I can. Also, do take part, everyone. Appreciate it, bro. You're a legend. Absolutely love you, my man. Always good to have you here. And yeah, thanks for taking part, my bro. And I'll see you in another one, hopefully. Transfer window will finish and Isak will come out and say he's happy at Newcastle and he will leave next season. It does have that kind of vibe, doesn't it? I'm pretty confident still that Liverpool will eventually sign him, but if it doesn't, it's going to be a case of, you know, like a bit maybe like Philip Coutinho when he didn't go in that summer and instead he went in January. Might be a little bit like that. Sorry to bring it up. I know you're a Barca fan, but yes, Philip Coutinho. I feel like it's a bit like that, where he'll come in, he'll still score goals because he's Alexander Isak, but he'll half-arse it a little bit. He won't really put as much effort into it. He'll still be a bit annoyed that the club didn't let him go, but he's kind of like, well, if I play to fitness, so then I can get a move in January. I feel like that may become apparent if the worst case scenario is that Liverpool don't sign him this summer. He'll go in January. I'd be very surprised if he sees out the entire season at Newcastle. But then again, it's all about Newcastle's pull. It's all about this Newcastle pull that seemingly doesn't really exist. But Newcastle fans will tell you it's all about PSR and FFP and stuff. Okay, mate. I'm not denying it is a problem. I'm not denying it's not part of the issue. But a big part of the issue is you can't get anyone through the door. You can't sign anyone. You've been rejected by about 9 different players in this transfer window alone. So what the hell is that all about? And the only one that wants to sign for you is someone that you're finding difficult to get out of the club. The only one that wants to sign for you is Johan Visser. So go and get Visser then. Muppet. Big up Jordan. How you doing? Well, bro. Lovely to have you on board with us. Go and subscribe to Jordan Hyman's YouTube channel, guys. He's got a lot of good stuff going on over there. Sure, there's something for everybody. Go and sort it out now. Go and show him some love and some support. The man very much deserves it. He's got some really good stuff going on. Right. Just having a look, see if anything's really happened. Anything really happened since we've been live? Not really. No real breaking news. Mikey Moore signs a new long-term deal on his 18th birthday at Tottenham. Fabrizio Romano stating that 70 million euros would be enough for Tottenham to secure the signing of Savinho, which would work out at about 60 million. So we know that Tottenham have 60 million. We know that Tottenham have 60 million. They're wanting to spend it all on Morgan Gibbs-White. So we shall see. City eyeing Rodrigo. Nothing major at least. What we got here? Porto seriously interested in Kivior. FC Porto were interested in Arsenal centre-back Jakub Kivior, but were unwilling to match the 30 million euro asking price. Yeah, I mean, would you? Would anyone? Would anybody be willing to match 30 million euros for Jakub Kivior? Like, he did a very good job last season towards the end of the campaign, but for 30 million, for 30 million euros, no, just no. Arsenal aren't that club. Arsenal don't sell. Arsenal don't sell players. Arsenal's top signing took place 9 years ago. Is it 9 years? 8 or 9 years ago. With Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain going to Liverpool. That was their biggest signing. You know who is their second biggest sale? You know who their second biggest sale is? Nicolas Anelka. Nicolas Anelka in 1999. That is their second biggest sale. Arsenal don't sell players. They wait until their monetary value is worthless, have a big falling out with them, and then get rid of them. That is what Arsenal do. They don't sell players. They wait until they're completely worthless. In saying that, if they don't win anything, I imagine Saliba will probably go for big money unless he runs his contract down. Gabriel might go for big money as well. Declan Rice could be like, I was more successful at West Ham. Why did I even consider coming to Arsenal? Mad. It's madness. Arsenal rate Kivior and ask him and to ask that for him. He's worth 30 million in the market for sure. Let's have a look, actually. Let's have a look at what his market value is. So Transfermarkt actually had him rated at 28 million euros for his current market value. So it's not far off. I think the deal will get done. I think Porto will eventually get him, but yeah, I don't know. I don't rate him that highly. If I was playing Football Manager or if I was the owner of Porto and I'm looking at Jakub Kivior, I'm going, I want to look elsewhere. Ekatike has no France call-ups, and what did he go for? Yeah. The thing is with Ekatike is you're buying the potential of a player. I personally don't think Jakub Kivior is going to get much better than what he is right now. I don't see him exceeding expectation as of right now. But with Ekatike, I can definitely see him getting better, going up to new levels. And that's part of the transfer fee. Part of the transfer fee is obviously the here and now. And the other part of the transfer fee is his potential. And I genuinely think like Ekatike's potential is so high. Not like world-class level, but maybe just like a bracket just off that. So you're kind of buying for that. I don't really see Kivior getting any better than what he is right now. 76 goals in 84 games for Sporting is great, right? Wait till I tell you those are actually Pastor stats and not Gyökeres. We'll see. I don't know, man. This is the thing. Like certain people go a little bit under the radar, certain people don't. And I'm looking at like because I was just looking at his what's going on right with his stats and stuff. You're actually right. Wait. What did you say? Was it 76 goals in 84 games for Sporting? Well, I got it as 93 goals, 15 assists in 127 games. Just double checking that. Oh, bless him. And he didn't even play much last year because of heart problems. Oh, bless him. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Damn. Yeah, I get what you're saying, bro. Like, stats only tell half the story, and people that go completely on stats sometimes miss the bigger picture because, yeah, stats can mean a lot. But sometimes it's about the bigger picture, and it's like certain players fit certain roles. Like I said this about Anthony Elanga. I know it's like a complete different thing, but I think that Anthony Elanga works brilliantly for Nottingham Forest because not many teams are going to sit back against Nottingham Forest. They're going to go forward. They're going to venture forward. So the counter-attacking game of Forest actually works out well. And Elanga has enough pace that you put a ball over the top, 9 times out of 10, he's going to chase it down and he's going to get to that ball first. That works for them. Would he work for a team like Liverpool? No. Would he work for a team like City? No. And the reason why is because those teams that they go against, very rarely do they go toe-to-toe with them. They sit back behind the ball, they remain deep, compact. Anthony Elanga would not work at any one of those teams because his best attribute is his pace and playing the ball in behind. And that is very rarely going to become apparent in those kinds of teams. Do I think it'll become... And I think like even when you go to the step up of Newcastle, again, probably not going to be as apparent as what it was at Nottingham Forest. So when you look at like maybe his stats may look good, but why does he get those stats? That's also a big question. And like you mentioned there with your example, the stats may sound good, but why is it never been that he's got that big move? Or why was it never that he got that big move? Because there's reasons to it. There's always reasons to it. Nobody had any clue De Jong went to Porto. No Romano, no Journo, nobody. De Jong just turned up on presentation. I like stories like that, man. I like stories like that. There always seems to be one every year that goes under the radar. That goes under the radar of the likes of Ornstein, the likes of Romano. There always seems to be one story that just out of the blue just goes, "Yep, we've signed him." Remember when Danny Ings did that 2 transfer windows in a row? Remember when Danny Ings randomly just turned up at Aston Villa and it was like, "Yeah, we've signed him." And like no one had a clue. No one had a clue that Danny Ings was going to be going to Aston Villa. And then I think, was it like 6 months or a year later, he just went to West Ham. And it was like, again, like no one had any idea like Danny Ings was going anywhere. And it just happened. It just materialized randomly. Like that's genuinely what happened. Like, I like stories like that. It makes me think like I'd like to go back to one transfer window where it's like that. You know, we don't really get any news. We don't get these constant updates that are not really updates from Romano. We just get like no news, and then we just get the news from the official club themselves, and they just turn around and go, "We've signed this player. We've signed that player. We've signed this player. We've signed that player." And it's a throwback. It's a throwback, but yeah, I like it. Big up Bastos had a similar Gyökeres stats with a pacemaker. Bless him. Bless him, bless him, bless him. Oh dear. I need to look into that story more. It's intrigued me. Anyway, I think it's probably a good time to call it there. We talked Tottenham and Savinho. We talked Crystal Palace. We talked a bit about Liverpool in there as well. And we've talked and rambled about other things as well. There's been some Forest chat as well. Probably good to call it right there. Right. So, again, I reiterate the plan for the rest of the week. Tuesday, tomorrow, at least the Premier League predictions video will be out. Wednesday, the Premier League fixture predictions for the weekend will be out. Thursday, I have no idea what I'm doing Thursday yet. Friday, there is the potential and possibility that I might be doing a Liverpool-Bournemouth watch-along. Might be. I don't know yet. I don't know if I will be yet, but there is a possibility that that could be happening. Over the weekend, again, there is the possibility of watch-alongs and live streams, but again, I'm not 100% sure. But either way, we will get some form of content out there. There will be reviews. There will be there will be previews and predictions and things of that nature, looking ahead to what should be another exciting edition and chapter of the Premier League season, which of course kicks off on Friday. Liverpool-Bournemouth. Fantasy football managers, make sure you get your teams set for Friday. Make sure your leagues are all set up. Make sure everything is looking good. And make sure your predictions are in. Make sure your predictions are in. Right. We're going to call it there. Thank you to every single one of you who tuned in on this Monday afternoon. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for showing all the love and support to me and the channel. I really do appreciate it. I cannot thank you guys enough. Make sure you're hitting the like button on the way out. Make sure you're subscribing if you are new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always incredibly greatly appreciated. Make sure you're leaving a comment as well. Leave a comment down in what will now be the comment section for those of you watching on repeat. Whether it's about anything that we talked about in this video, maybe it's about things that you guys want to talk about for future videos and live streams to come, or maybe you've got some predictions and things of your own that you want to kind of get off your chest, and in that comment section down there, please do use and abuse that section. People would love to hear from you all. Like I say, thank you to everybody that contributed today. Thank you to everybody that was in the chat. Thank you to everybody that's liked and subscribed so far. Really do appreciate each and every single one of you. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks live stream. And I will see you and speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.